Hello and welcome once again. I am the Otaku, and today we are playing Star Wars Battlefront. I'm going to teach you how to be a better player and how to increase that kill-to-death ratio. This video is the second in my series that is aimed towards learning to get better at Battlefront. If you haven't already, I would suggest you take a look at the first one as well. For your convenience, there will be a link in the description below. That video will cover some very important basics, where this one is aimed at specific examples. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Number 1. Play to your advantage. Here is an example of me trying to shoot somebody at very long ranges using a weapon that is designed specifically for short-range encounters. As you will see in the example, I'm not doing a very good job, now am I? Now here is a second example of me using the exact same blaster, but at a shorter distance. Watch the difference in how easily I can secure kills. This is because I'm using the gun in situations where it can do well. No, that doesn't mean you can't use your favorite blaster on a big map during large-scale game modes. All it means is you need to play a little bit smarter. If using your favorite blaster designed for close-quarter combat, then you can simply follow these 3 easy steps. 1. Stick to areas of the map that play to your strengths. Each map is specifically designed so that all weapons can perform well in some areas. You just need to identify what is best for you and go that way. 2. Keep a jetpack on hand so you can close the distance between you and your enemies. And finally, number 3 is to have something else as a backup. That can be a pulse cannon or homing shot to take out long-range enemies when you're pinned down, or maybe even a shield barrier to run up close and close that gap. Keep in mind that specific traits and other loadouts will go best with certain playstyles. If you are an up-close and personal type of player like we just mentioned, then maybe consider using Scout. It helps you remain off the map and avoid something like revenge kills. Or you can use Bodyguard to help survive explosive damage. Either of those are great options for close quarters combat. Moving on to number 2, live to fight another day. Here is an example of me pushing up too much. By the time I made the decision that maybe I should retreat, it was already too late. Now watch this next example that happened later on in the game. I didn't want to make the same mistake twice. I noticed that there's 2 enemies in front of me, more coming from behind. It's not in my best interest to take them all on at once, so I had made the decision to do a tactical retreat and survive. That kind of retreat isn't limited to outside areas either. Watch this other example here where I'm in close quarters and I use the jetpack again, not only to avoid multiple enemies that are coming, but the impending doom from their explosives. As you can see, choosing when to engage and when to retreat will be the difference between an extra death. Think of it as 1 step back, but then 2 steps forward. Number 3. Move between cover. Here is a perfect example of me traveling across the map in the worst possible way. I'm out in the open, getting shot at from all directions, attracting attention from everywhere. This is not going to end well. Now here's an example of me perfectly traveling across the map, moving from cover to cover to the next objective. I'm staying behind the hills, I'm staying behind the objects, out of line of sight, using the way of the ninja. Not only is this method going to avoid needless deaths and being sniped, but it's also going to give you a chance to surprise your enemies when you engage. It's going to give you the upper hand and possibly secure your next kill. Number 4 is counter your weakness. If you find yourself playing on big open maps and using your jetpack for other means like closing distance or to retreat, then you're constantly going to be vulnerable to stuff like homing shot, orbital strike, and other long distance explosives. The best method to counter this is by wearing the Bodyguard trait, which is going to give you a lot more opportunity to survive, even with just the default rank 1. So pay attention to what is killing you the most. What changes do you need to make that will balance your loadout and counter your weaknesses? A slight change can make a world of difference in your kill-to-death ratio. Number 5. Be careful when chasing down targets. I know you don't want to lose the kill, but this is an example of what happens. I'm losing a gunfight. I make the smart decision to shield and retreat like we learned earlier. This player, on the other hand, doesn't think about what he's doing. He walks into my whole team and gets punished for it. Number 6. Always try to move around, especially strafing. During a 1v1 fight, watch how I beat this player by simply strafing to the side and avoiding his gunfire, then I can easily secure the kill. As you can see, this is a very effective method, especially on console where players are relying heavily on aim assist. Now number 7 can be really tricky to do depending on where you are at the current moment. Watch how I'm moving forward, a target comes into my sight, I feel like I might get shot, so I quickly move to the side, reposition myself to avoid that fire. Then, when I'm no longer caught off guard, I engage because I'm ready. Number 8, a similar concept to number 7, which is peek in and out of cover, don't just stand there. Watch how this is an example when there's multiple enemies and I peek in and out of cover, taking out one, then re-engaging when I am ready. And number 9, which also ties in with number 8 and number 7, they kind of build off of each other, is stop to recover. Similar to the tactical retreat as well, it's moving back behind cover when you are losing the gunfight or simply getting low on health. When you got those last few points down like second nature and you have no problem, then the next step would be number 10, which is choosing your battles. Watch in the example when I'm given multiple enemies to attack, I gotta figure out which one to go after first. My advice would be to 1, the one that's most likely aiming at you, or 2, the quickest to die. This one is probably the most difficult, but also can be the most rewarding, as it means the difference between 1 or 5 kills, maybe even more. But it requires you to analyze the situation on the battlefield in real time, quickly looking at all of the enemies around, ascertaining what they might actually be doing, and then making a decision based off of that. And this final point is probably the most important. With a big, shiny number 11, play the objective. I say that because having a high KD, winning gunfights is fun, but if you're not playing the objective, then you're not doing as good of a service to your team. And this is a team fight. So this last clip is very important. I want you to pay attention. It's showing many of the previous examples together in unison, and how to take this knowledge and use it in a way that's beneficial to the team and not just to yourself. Alright, so here we go. The final example, Battle for Jakku, playing Turning Point. I'm on the rebel team, we're trying to secure that last objective, which is notoriously difficult to get. The objective is taken by having players stand within a designated area and is defended the exact same way. You can rush in and try to just take the objective at any time, but their AT-ST is constantly coming in to clean you out. The enemy spawn is also only a few meters away and you are being bombarded with tons of explosives. If you can't effectively push their team back and have that larger body count on point, then you don't get anything from pushing in. So what can a player like me do, who's better at killing people and likes to focus on getting that high KD? Well, it's quite simple actually. In this case, because the objective is capped by having people on the point, I do my best to kill the enemy team before they can push up with enough players to clear us out. So there I am, doing what I do best, taking out one player after another from my tactical vantage point. You will see that I'm making use of the cover, I'm ducking in and out, using a good weapon, my loadout is good to match, I'm able to kill enough players that the objective is finally clear. My team notices and they move into position to cap the point. I will then leave my post, go to join them to try and secure the victory together. However, we can't celebrate just yet, as the enemy team does get on point with us after just a few seconds. This is the final struggle. I do my best to move in and out of cover, stay alive, and on the point, while also killing as many enemies as I can until victory. Hopefully these examples helped you out in one way or another. I do make these videos specifically to benefit the Battlefront community. I love this game, I want to see it grow. Please don't forget to like, subscribe if you want to be a better player. Feel free to check out my Blaster Reviews videos, they're very in detail, tell you everything you want to know. That is all for today, and as always, may the Force be with you.